Buenos días, un abrazo fraterno, respetuoso y mi solidaridad a familiares y sobre
Good morning. Receive warm and respectful greetings to family members and survivors who have joined us from different parts of the world, where the most contemptible practice has been carried out against human beings, enforced disappearances. I am the legal representative of the Association of Family Members of the Disappeared of Guatemala, FAMDEWA, whose main goal is the search for the detained and disappeared by the Guatemalan state during the internal armed conflict. An example of struggle that has been handed down from brave women who faced the Guatemalan army to demand information on where are our family members. For over 29 years, we have accompanied victims, survivors, who have demanded justice in national and international courts due to the serious violations of human rights that took place in our country. Part of our work has focused on identifying and carrying out exhumations in clandestine mass graves, where we have found approximately 1,891 persons who were extrajudicially executed by the state security forces. Clandestine cemeteries located not only in communities and villages, but also in military bases. For example, the Military Zone 21 in Coban, Alta Verapaz, considered as one of the largest clandestine mass graves of Latin America. As an association of family members, we have accompanied victims and survivors of enforced disappearances. In the case of Edgar Leonel Paredes Chehuen, detained and disappeared on January 12, 1982. The Chuatalum case in Chimaltenango. Cases that began the path towards justice in the Guatemalan system. The state continues with the policy to deny the events which took place during the internal armed conflict, including memory, truth, and justice. It is important to highlight that many survivors, witnesses, and family members have passed away with the hope for justice. Many of those responsible, the material and intellectual actors, have also died and left victims or survivors without obtaining justice. The fear in survivors persists. The anguish of persecution has marked new generations. The stigma of communist or guerrilla rebels still remains. This way, FAMDEWA, together with family members and plaintiffs, has driven the military case, and in representation of the victims, the investigation before the national justice system, accompanied by the human rights attorney of the public prosecutor. It has been the perseverance and persistence of family members which allows to be here today before you. Enforced disappearance is the illegal detention of a person by security state forces acting with his consent and support, with the assurance that there will not be no type of investigation, and although legal remedies are interposed, there will not be taken into account. The main objective of this detention is to obtain information on the victims through torture, rape, presenting a son to a husband or wife, torture them in front of the person that is being detained to obtain information. The lack of knowledge of whereabouts of the disappeared generates uncertainty in the family, the neighbors, and among the population in general, since there is no legal certainty for the family, no guarantee the safety of the person illegally detained. Across society is generated a feeling of vulnerability, given that any citizen could become a victim at any moment, especially now it occurred in Guatemala in the 1980s. In general terms, the impact on society is total shutdown and collective terror. With enforced disappearances, a series of human rights violations is accumulated, such as individual freedom, the right to life, right to personal and collective safety, civic and political rights are lost by the victim, the right of defense, right not to be subjected to cruel, inhumane, and degrading treatment, threats to their physical integrity, and that of their family. Family members of the victim also become real victims. It is a permanent crime as it continues after years, decades, and entire lives of suffering until the victims are found. Only until that moment can we say that the pain closes and the anguish of not knowing. And this has led families of victims to become organized in associations that can include particularly family members in search of truth, memory, and who want justice. There exists also the support of friends and family who are working together with family members to obtain information regarding their whereabouts, to demand the return of the remains of the disappeared. I want to thank you for this opportunity, for the space to publicly denounce these events and human rights violations that were committed in our country. Strongly I embrace you. Thank you.
En nuestro país. Les abrazo fuertemente. Muchas gracias.